Hello, my name is Nina. Welcome to my channel, Inside the Mind of a Human Predator. I wanted to make a quick video addressing the popular gray rock technique, which is recommended across the board for maintaining communication with someone displaying the narcissistic, psychopathic, antisocial, and other relational styles that are dysfunctional. And this is a technique that's recommended in cases where you're forced to maintain that sort of communication, because after all, the ideal scenario is to maintain no contact. That is not okay, by the way. So, getting back to this video, the reason I wanted to make it is to make one important disclaimer that, at least in my personal research, I have not seen anywhere. And it's a pretty important one because it pertains to your personal safety. So first of all, what is gray rock? Well, gray rock is basically about being as boring as a gray rock on the side of the road when you are forced to maintain some level of communication with a highly dysfunctional person. Now, when does that occur? It may happen in a parallel parenting situation for former intimate partners. It may happen in a workplace with a colleague or a boss when you are unable to leave that workplace. It may happen in a family of origin. Let's say you have an aunt and an uncle. One is dysfunctional, the other one isn't, but they're kind of attached at the hip. And if you'd like to maintain contact with one, you're forced to maintain contact with the other. So there are numerous cases when you cannot fully go no contact. So what does gray rock look like? Well, if the highly dysfunctional individual sends you a message with 10 sentences, you respond succinctly with one. And you have to be as boring as possible. And you also have to be consistent. All your communication is about being boring, being succinct, and it's aimed at slowly and gradually retraining this human predator that you will no longer be their source of attention. Now, why is that important? Well, these individuals, especially if they are high in terms of their narcissistic traits, absolutely crave attention, what others describe as narcissistic supply. Attention is a simpler term for that. It's very important for them to maintain their self-image and an image projected at the outside world when they're getting attention. And ultimately to them, it doesn't matter if that attention is positive or negative, as long as there's some kind of an emotional reaction coming from you. So if they're used to getting that emotional reaction from you, you will have to be very consistent and gradually retrain them to no longer provide that attention. And they'll move on to greener pastures and leave you alone to the best of your ability of maintaining that level of communication. Bassett still sleeping and not listening. So I'm sure even if you do not have children, you have observed children. One day, their absolute favorite thing in the world is their dinosaur. The next day, it's a doll. The next day, it's a truck. And so they go from object to object to object within the same week. And they're absolutely obsessed with that particular object. Obviously, in very young kids, that is absolutely developmentally appropriate. But that level of seeking newness, the new shiny object, person, place, is not appropriate in an adult, which is why people who display these long-term dysfunctional relational styles go from woman to woman to woman, cheating on each of them, man to man to man, city to city to city. They change political ideologies rapidly. They go from one diet fad to another, on and on and on. So, even if you are a broken teddy bear with a missing arm sitting somewhere in an attic that this dysfunctional individual is not that interested in anymore, he or she still remembers that you were a pretty consistent source of supply or attention. So should no one else be providing that narcissistic supply, he or she will come back to you, and this is where being consistent and retraining them to no longer think that they can get it from you is important. So When is using gray rock not appropriate? Well, there is one very important distinction. It pertains to individuals who have had a history of violence. It may be violence against you, it may be violence against another individual, it may be violence against a pet, it may be violence against inanimate objects, throwing dishes, punching walls, because these scenarios can escalate quickly. So, do not, absolutely do not use gray rock, and especially introduce gray rock with someone who has that aggressive personality, who is a human predator with a psychopathic, narcissistic, antisocial, and other relational styles. If they are in a situation, in private somewhere, one-on-one with you, and you are about to introduce this thing that will set a very, very serious boundary. Remember, you are dealing with someone that A, has very low impulse control, and they go into rages when they do not get what they want. It's one thing to have an adult temper tantrum and have a verbal rage. It's very different when that rage has a physical expression. B, this is an individual who not only has low impulse control, but has a massive, massive sense of entitlement. I want what I want, and I want it now. So you have low impulse control, physical rages, sense of entitlement, combined, very dangerous combination when that person has the propensity for violence. Because you are setting a very harsh boundary and you're saying no, and you're taking away that attention that they are craving from you. I am speaking from very personal experience on more than one occasion. Those occasions could have ended badly. They were dangerous. This is why I feel compelled to make this video and to add this one disclaimer to an otherwise very useful technique. So you may find yourself one-on-one with this person. He or she may have forced his or her way into your home. He or she may in fact be stalking you and find you on a pretty deserted street. And I'd hate to use the term fawn, but your personal safety is absolutely paramount above all else. So do whatever is reasonably possible to get yourself out of that situation, whether you can remove yourself, whether family or friends can come over, whether the authorities can help you. But first and foremost, remove yourself from the situation without setting this very harsh boundary of saying no by taking away their attention. And to the best of your ability, continue with using gray rock in all other scenarios, written communication, public places, etc., etc. And gradually, they will be weaned off this attention, this narcissistic supply that you have provided in the past. I'm absolutely not making the case for you triggering them. These are highly dysfunctional individuals. They go through life operating this way. They've acted this way with other people. They will act this way with other people. They may have acted this way with pets. But if you know that setting this harsh boundary may result in a particular kind of reaction, it is absolutely best to prepare yourself to, first of all, not be in that situation, but sometimes it's beyond your control. Therefore, it's important to not use certain types of methods that are recommended otherwise and endanger your safety further. So I hope you find this useful. Please like, share, and subscribe to this channel.